MultiGreen, building attainable, sustainable, and tech-enabled multifamily real estate through impact investing.
Welcome to the MultiGreen podcast. I'm your host, Randy Norton, and today we'll be speaking with Levi Naas, a design and construction professional specializing in the as-built environment. Levi and I have an affinity for all things lean construction, and our very favorite tool is BIM, also known as Building Information Modeling. With 20 years of experience leveraging all aspects of building technologies, Levi has participated in some of the world's largest capital projects, and now he's with us at MultiGreen. With his experience and BIM expertise, MultiGreen has a competitive, durable advantage. Enjoy our conversation. Levi, thanks for joining us today on the podcast. One of the most exciting things for me about MultiGreen is BIM and lean construction methodology. What is tech enablement for MultiGreen and specifically this as-built environment?
Well, for our listeners, we can think about how technology has changed the way we do things in our everyday lives. We now carry computers in our pockets that enable us to do an array of things on the go. In construction, we've moved on from the fax machine to creating drawings by hand, all the way into this 3D digital environment where we can better collaborate and foresee issues before they become a costly exercise in the field. Now, in addition, we're able to go in and use non-digital technologies that allow us to work more efficiently on-site using, we're straying away from manual to power tools. We're leveraging robotic surveys to automate the site set out enabled by this BIM technology and going into offsite prefabrication, which is all built within the 3D environment first, and then carried out to prefab process and then to site. All of this helps us to be much more productive.
What does BIM mean, and what does that mean for MultiGreen?
Well, for me, providing housing is one of the most noble services in our line of work. As custodians providing shelter, we have a responsibility to do this in a more effective way. BIM offers us a smarter and more efficient ways we can plan, design, build, and operate our multifamily housing. As we become more efficient utilizing this building technology, MultiGreen is able to offer greater impact at providing an affordable, quality product and services to our customers.
For the benefit of our listeners, let's clarify the meaning of BIM specifically, the definition and its technology.
So BIM is building information modeling. A lot will also add building information management to that in your definition of BIM. What it really is doing, enabling for us, is we're jumping into a 3D environment. We're constructing the project in this environment virtually before we take it out to field. This allows us to go in and resolve issues. It allows us to coordinate all the different disciplines from architecture, structure, landscaping, and so forth, and put it into one space so we can highlight all the design deficiencies and opportunities that we have for the project. This optimizes the design, reduces our cost, it reduces complications going out to site with rework, and eliminates the guessing process when you're in the field of where to place things and how to construct them.
So it sounds like to me, and this is a leading question because I know more about BIM than most, but it is a single source of truth that we can leverage from pre-design all the way through to facility management. Is that correct?
Absolutely. So not only are we having the geometry being coordinated and placed in a 3D space, but we're also adding a lot of metadata. And that metadata can be anything from cost. It can be going in and adding your asset data with O&Ms, manufacturing, supply chain, all the way leading into that facilities management component. So rather than going into a storage archive of thousands of drawings and thousands of other documents, and trying to find the right document to, let's say, replace a generator, or to understand what the life cycles is on the lighting. This environment allows us to do this in a more intelligent way at a speedy delivery. In addition, we're now getting into this space where we have artificial intelligence that's able to pick up on these trends and allows us to make better decisions moving forward.
What is the difference between lean and BIM?
So lean is a socialized method to improve our productivity by eliminating waste. As we become more fit, we're able to now utilize BIM. BIM is a digital way for us to produce and manage information in a visual way. As BIM offers us an array of tools and methods, Lean sets in the policy and the habits for how we might best utilize these technologies with BIM and building.
So it sounds like lean is a philosophy, it's a culture. I know it's a derivative of the Toyota way and continuous improvement, Kaizen, whereas BIM is actually the tool.
Absolutely right. And they go hand in hand. They complement each other very well by enabling with Lean the habits and the culture around this technology and what gets implemented out on site. We're then able to go in and reinforce that through BIM, which gives us clear communication. It gives us automation in the process. And at the end of the day, we are going to become more productive using both of these processes.
So becoming more productive, lessening the waste, all about continuous improvement here at MultiGreen. It sounds like all of those things are a part of the MultiGreen way. And in many ways, that's kind of like the Toyota way. So what is the future of BIM and the MultiGreen way?
So the future of BIM's been on a very long journey, first starting out by creating these intelligent 3D representation of these built assets. Building it first digitally is far more cheaper than going out to the field and making all these mistakes. Moving forward into the future, we're now in a Industry 4.0, an Internet of Things that allows us to connect to our operations more intelligently. We are able to go through and have an enterprise asset management systems that aggregates all this data into one space. It enhances our visual inspections with AI, allows us to have better security with our Internet of Things. In addition to having building our smarter supply chains. So just about every industry is transforming into this space. And it's probably the most appropriate for the building industry to do this, particularly when you're looking at facilities management, going in and having a digital asset where you have one single source of all your data that's easily accessible. And we're moving into a new age of digital twinning, where we're now taking the building management systems that are visualized with the AI and all the sensors that come off of these buildings being pulled into one space. And this allows us to make better decisions and eliminating the mode of connection from that information.
So what is your very favorite building in New York City and why?
I think you know the answer to this, but I'll answer it anyways. It's the Empire State Building. This building was literally designed and built in 18 months. It stood as the tallest building for the last 40 years, or not the last 40 years, for 40 years, built in 1938. And it stood 102 stories. If we were to try to build a 102-story building today, there's no way we'd be able to do it without the processes that they used back then, which is basically a lean delivery. It's probably one of the early cases of a lean construction, which was manufacturer driven. The Brother & Co. company came in with a thought process of, we're going to revolutionize the way we're going to build this building. And they used a flow line chart rather than a Gantt chart. Gantt chart is critically path method motivated to sit there and identify which are the areas that's going to be our pinch points. They moved to a flow line, which was tracking the daily progress of every task and every personnel on site, which allowed them to optimize their crews as they built the building. So a tremendous feat to go in and build it within 18 months for a 102-story building.
Sounds like logistics management.
Absolutely, it is. And back then, that was a manual process. Today, we can easily achieve that through all the computing process that we have today with automation, traceability, better information out there in the field, transparency across which trades are needing which information and when. And then when changes do come up, they have this information in the field, in their pockets, on their phone, or on a tablet.
With our team of software engineers, where do you think we are going to focus our processes and procedures and automation with all of the work that you're doing inside of BIM?
So there's a lot of data that gets generated in the planning, the design, and the construction process. Aggregating all this data so that we can use AI to intelligently tell us and inform us what our next steps are going to be. I think that's probably going to be the biggest advantage we could do for MultiGreen, to allow us to be better informed during the facilities management process, to provide better services to our customers, and a quality product. In addition, as we go and step into a new project or step into a new area, we have all this data and we have an AI tool that can inform us on making these decisions more intelligently as we step into these areas.
Well, it's very exciting. I envision the day where, as we continue to specialize in our 3 building typologies, this data will become more insightful. So, as the listeners know, we're only doing 3 building typologies. That is the garden style apartment campuses. We're doing the podium product, which is typically 5 to 7 stories high. And then we're doing the mid to high rise type 1 construction. And in each scenario, I believe that we'll become more fully integrated by design and more efficient and, cut out the waste. And Levi, we're so grateful that you are on our team to help us with that process. This is a very complementary relationship that we've developed with you over the years. And if you and if we can do this in much more complicated asset classes, we can certainly do it in multifamily. And it's going to be really fun to watch how we get more involved with the manufacturing and supply chain of our 3 building typologies.
I'm glad you actually brought that up with the supply chain. Australia's largest home builder, doing an upwards of 5,000 homes to 6,000 homes a year, they took control of their supply chain. So if we're looking at scale, this technology just isn't for large capital projects or multi-residential. It scales all the way down to the individual single dwelling homes. And when you're mass producing that, having control of that supply chain really empowers the ability to bring better quality, affordability to these homes. And I think that's something that we can definitely start to do here with MultiGreen.
I think you were one of the very first to say 40,000 homes or 40,000 units over 10 years was possible. And it was because of your experience in Australia watching these national home builders already do it.
Absolutely. And I was fortunate enough to actually move onward to Daiwa House, which is one of the globe's largest housing builder. They have subsidiaries all over around the world, and they bring all their technology into one space out there in Japan. And they distribute that technology out to their subsidiaries and their other partners to help them better utilize and understand how can we be more efficient using technology and using process to build faster, quality, and deliver more. And I certainly think that's the goal and the path that MultiGreen is certainly on right now, that we are going in and we're creating a tool set that we can actually begin to provide to our partners.
Levi, BIM is a very complicated topic. How do we apply BIM to MultiGreen?
So with BIM, we start to look at, we're trying to achieve building 40,000 units by 2030. That's a lot of time, a lot of design. So going in and creating templates for generative design allows us to have that speed to delivery in the design and in the planning process, and connecting that back to our different stakeholders, whether they're the builders or we're looking at with the city officials, that we can provide better communication. In addition, giving them different options depending on where we're at across the country. We can do a series of different what-if scenarios to provide a better value in our cost model, and we end up passing that value down to our residents. In the design process, we have rapid estimating, which allows us to shorten our time to our delivery, because we're using the model and the data sets from our supply chain connected to the model to go out and have estimates done within a day or less, rather than sending out the manual process, which could take months. Bringing that all back in, that allows us to make decisions quicker, to start building quicker, to move onward, to leverage the technology to coordinate between all the disciplines, because we've crystallized what we want to spend in this project. Moving into the construction phase, we have site logistics. We could have limited access onto these sites. So having BIM enabled for location-based management system on site allows us to enter the trades and plan for our trades to work on different areas of the buildings without adding any risk to safety or to quality. Again, that more productive we become, the more units we can end up building at the end of the day at a lower cost. And again, we want to look at how do we provide a better value to our residents within the service and the quality of our products. In the operations, we have a lot of technology that we're putting in that are amenities for our residents, whether it's a smart blind or we have Wi-Fi enabled systems. BIM enables us to begin to plan, coordinate, and aggregate all this data. So seamlessly in the background, while a very complex system is sitting there, up front, our residents and other stakeholders are getting something that's very simplified. Think about it, you've got your phone in your pocket and it does all these different complex things, but it's a very simple interface. Same thing utilizing BIM. We're trying to make the complex simple in this entire process, provide us more intelligent and in-depth information, again, giving greater value to everyone that's involved.
That's great feedback. Well, here are the last two questions we ask everybody in the hot seat. In the spirit of MultiGreen, what are some of your favorite green things? And you can respond with anything.
So when I sit back and I think about the color green, I naturally move and gravitate towards life and nature in general. I think about my time going through different rainforests and breathing the fresh air and discovering all the things that are around me and experiencing what it's like to actually go through and actually feel and touch that space. It really, for me, it gives a sense of a deeper connection to the place and a renewed sense of energy. So I don't know if that's what you're looking for in that space, but really green is that revitalization of life.
Oh, that's great. That's a great response. So Levi, we have shared an audacious goal with the world of building 40,000 homes by 2030. If you just had one wish for MultiGreen, what would it be?
That's a great question. For me, I look at the housing shortage across the U.S., in places such as California, Arizona, Texas, Florida. There's a housing deficit in nearly 4.6 million and rising as our population grows. As MultiGreen sits on the front line resolving this problem, my wish for MultiGreen is to far exceed that goal of 40,000 by 2030 and maybe even double those efforts.
So 80,000 units would be your wish.
Absolutely.
I'm going to mark that down, and we will reconnect on a future podcast and see how we're doing on that goal.
I'm excited, Randy.
Thanks for your time today, Levi, and sharing with us and the entire world your expertise in the BIM environment. Thanks.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you for listening. Join us as we build 40,000 attainable, sustainable, and tech-enabled multifamily homes by 2030. And if you like the content you're hearing, hit the subscribe button. Follow us at Think MultiGreen and sign up to learn more at www.multi.green.